What's going on, guys? It's Kyle Carroll with MyMMANews.com. I'm joined by Jess Capurso. We'll be fighting at Ringmasters on April 20th, April 19th,
yes.
Excuse me, at HULU Theater in Madison Square Garden. Jessica, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into boxing.
Okay, so I had originally been competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and at the time I was training under Joe DRC, whose Jiu-Jitsu gym was where my boxing gym is now. So when he relocated his gym, I had kind of just stayed around there, and I would be upstairs. Like, I didn't really know anything about boxing, but just for a cardio workout, I would just like start hitting the bag and just trying to get a workout. And I really had no desire to get into fighting or anything like that. It was never even crossing my mind, but my coach, Michael Vargas, kept approaching me up there and saying like, hey, you should really try this out. Like, I think you'd be good at it. You know, you kind of have some natural skill here. So it was about like 3 or 4 months of him trying to convince me that I should, you know, maybe come try a class, that I went and tried it, and I was just immediately hooked. So that was January 2018, a little over a year ago, when this all started.
So just a little over a year, and now here you are fighting in the finals of Ringmaster at Madison Square Garden.
It's really insane.
An awesome venue.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell us how that makes you feel, and what kind of confidence that gives you.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me this a year ago, I would tell you you're absolutely insane. That, you know, I remember my first fight back in May, and at that time, even my mindset was kind of just like, I'm just gonna get in there once. It's just something I want to see what the experience is. And I remember the second that I got my hand raised, my first thought was, when can I do this again? Like, and that's when I kind of knew, like, all right, you know, I'm gonna stick to this. So, yeah, it's a really intense feeling. I actually, for the semifinals, I thought I was completely out of the tournament because I had something removed from my shoulder and I wasn't even training for this. So I only actually trained for the fight in semifinals for 2 weeks. So I was a little worried about how good my cardio would be and if I was really ready to get in there. I'm a novice fighter getting in the ring with open class fighters, so I was definitely nervous, but it's 100% worth it. So.
Do you have an athletic background? Did you play sports in high school or college?
I played sports in high school. I played softball and volleyball, but I'm definitely more athletic now than I was at the time. Yeah, I wouldn't say I was overly athletic in high school, but.
And you're from Long Island?
I'm from Long Island. I grew up in Sayville.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so now here you're boxing. What are some of your goals? Obviously, to win this fight on April 19th.
Yeah.
How far do you want to take this and go with it?
I mean, it's really up in the air right now. I'm still really new at this, so it's kind of hard for me to look that far ahead. I didn't even think I would come this far with it, but I definitely just want to keep fighting. I mean, every tournament I want to do, any show, I tell coach, you know, put me in, just get the experience, and if it ends up going somewhere eventually, then that's great, but I don't think it's ever going to be something that's not a part of my life, whether I end up still fighting or coaching, or I just don't ever see myself not being a part of the boxing world.
So
yeah.
What's your current record right now?
I'm 5-3.
5-3,
Yeah,
okay.
but majority of my fights have been, like I said, I'm novice, so I haven't turned down any fights. Almost every fight, except for 2 of them, have been against open class fighters. So in my 3rd fight, I was fighting someone with like 28 fights. My 4th fight, I was fighting someone with like 30 fights. So I've basically taken these fights just because I knew it was going to make me better and, you know, for the experience. Going in with the mindset of, hey, you're the underdog here, but you're going to get a lot of learning experience out of this, and if you want to become better, that's what you have to do. So.
As the saying is, a win or learn.
Exactly.
What did you learn from those fights? You're fighting people, you're saying, with almost near 30 fights.
Yeah.
You had to have learned something.
Absolutely. I think it gave me a lot more confidence in the sport, just knowing that I could get in there and fight with them. Because none of the fights were like super one-sided where it was like crazy. It was like, okay, you know what, I can take their power, I can take their experience, I can at least give them a good fight. So I think having that experience gave me a lot of the confidence even for this Ringmasters tournament, being like, you know what, I've already fought like some of the top amateur females that I even know. So there's no reason that I can't get in there and be fighting these open class fighters now. So mainly I would say that it just gave me a lot more confidence, and it's a lot less nervous getting in the ring knowing that I've already, you know, gotten in the ring with girls with this experience. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And tell us some of your training partners and some of the women and men you train with and train under.
Yeah, sure. So my head coach is Mike Vargas. He is absolutely amazing trainer. It takes a team to do this, you know, so I owe so much of how successful I've been this far to him. His son is Alex Vargas, who is professional now. I think he signed pro about a year ago. He's 3-0, undefeated. He just got his first TKO. So all 3 of his fights have been at the Paramount, and he draws an insane crowd there. It's really cool. He's like one of my boxing inspirations. He has like the most amazing footwork, and just he stays so calm, and which is one of my goals because I kind of freak out a little bit in my fight. But yeah, so Alex is there, Coach Mike. There's Coach Kevin, who works with me a lot as well. And I'm actually the only female fighter at our gym, but now over the last few months there have been more females that are coming and wanting to get involved with it, which is really cool. I love seeing that, and I love working with all the females. And, my coach's daughter Daniela is starting to get, well, she's always been involved in it, but now she wants to fight, so we'll spar a little bit, and
Cool.
I like working with the females there. So.
Did you cross-train with any other gyms? I know we mentioned Sarah Thomas, you're good friends with her.
Yes.
And then there's other, like Chrissy Udelli.
Yandel, yes.
There's women all around but at different gyms. Do you cross-train a lot with them?
I do go spar at other gyms quite often. That's actually one of my favorite things about my coach is that he's willing to take me anywhere to get sparring. We were just the other week in the Bronx. He'll take me to Brooklyn. He'll take me to Westbury. We go all over for sparring, and it's very selfless of him. He doesn't get anything out of it other than, he doesn't ask for anything other than just to help us out. So, and he does that for all of his fighters, which is really cool because that's the best experience you can get is, getting in the ring with other girls that are fighting. So.
Most definitely, yeah. You learn a lot, I'm sure, just from sparring and technique.
Yeah,
and all that.
absolutely.
What was the biggest challenges in this little over a year that you've been training and competing? What are some of the biggest challenges for you?
I would say my biggest challenge is getting out of my own head. I'm definitely my own biggest critic with things, and sometimes I kind of psych myself out a little bit, but I'm working on that. I'd say that, and just a matter of time. I am a single mother. I have a 3.5-year-old son, so between that and work and finding the time to train, but yeah, once I really committed to it, and at first I used my son as kind of like an obstacle from training. Like I would use it as an excuse, like, oh, I don't have time to go there because I have to be with my son. And then it kind of became my motivation, and because I want him to get out of this, that it's never too late to give up on your dreams, stuff like that. That if you want something bad enough, you can figure out how to do it. And so I'd say that was a big obstacle for me as well. But
So time management is definitely a huge thing for you.
It is.
Balancing everything in your life.
It's exhausting. There's days I'm like, I just want to go home. I don't want to train. But then as soon as I train, I'm like, okay, I'm happy. I
It
did
was
that.
worth it. After
Yeah,
you
of
leave.
course. So.
How do you do that? Do you get a lot of help, family support?
I have a great support system. My son's father is a huge part of my son's life. My family, my parents help out with him all the time. My best friend, I have a few friends that help out with him. I bring him to the gym. Coach is very open to him, hanging out there, and so.
Makes it like a family environment.
Yeah,
Although,
exactly.
Like you mentioned, his family is there.
Exactly.
So he totally understands. that
Right,
concept.
yeah, and I couldn't even be doing this if it weren't for all the people in my life that are so supportive, so I'm very lucky in that aspect. But.
Being having the gym as like a family environment, does that kind of bring the level of seriousness not down? It's hard to explain, I guess, because sometimes people no kids, no this,
Right.
focus only, and that works for some people, and then others family environment, and knowing that fighting is just not the end of the world,
Right.
family and everything else, is a huge part of your life.
Yeah, I would say that the family environment of my gym has actually motivated me even more because it's one of the things I love about my gym. I don't even know if I would have stuck around this long if it weren't for that, but my coach, my team, they're literally family to me, and we do stuff together all the time, even outside of boxing, and there's so much support there because we are all so close that it's motivating. They're all at all my fights and I'm at their fights, and it's kind of it makes them proud to see me go this far, and they believe in me so much that I think that it kind of has helped me rather than distracted me from training. So
Awesome. And
Yeah.
does your son come to your fights?
he's never seen me fight before. However, I think I'm going to bring him to the Garden
Okay.
because I'm going to have my family. I don't want it to be a distraction to me, but I feel like just when he grows up, it's just cool to be like, hey, I have pictures
Yeah, so
with
my
my
mother
mom,
fighting.
at the Garden, and
That's
So
awesome.
I think that'll be his first time, and he probably won't even pay attention, but that's okay. He'll have a cool picture.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are some people or things in your life that inspires you to continue fighting? Any other fighters? I'm sure your son's definitely a part of your inspiration.
Of course, my son's definitely my biggest inspiration. I'd say my biggest inspiration in terms of another boxer, I've always looked up to Heather Hardy just because of her situation. She started boxing kind of later than normal, like I did. She's a single mother, was working, so I just kind of can relate to her story a little bit. So I've always looked up to her, and she's had so much success. Sarah Thomas has been one of my, she's so motivational to me. And honestly, even just like a few of the girls that I fought where, like I said, that had a lot more experience than me and that were open, it's really motivating to me because in my head after, I'm like, you know what, I might not win right now, but I'm going to come back one day, I'm going to get the rematch, and I'm going to win this fight. And like that like motivates me, you know, to be like, you know, I want to get back in there and show that I can do this.
Oh, that's a great attitude. A
Yeah.
lot of people get discouraged very early in their career
Right.
and don't end up doing it again. I know, I've been doing this for years. I see a lot of amateur MMA fighters, they compete twice, don't do well, and you never see them again.
Right, exactly.
Or you see them 100 times and in
Yeah.
19 rounds.
Exactly. I mean, it is discouraging if you're losing fights, it's discouraging. But
Yeah.
if you're into it and you take it as a learning experience, it's all about your attitude.
Most definitely.
So,
Now, what would you say is your biggest asset when you are competing inside the ring? What's your biggest asset?
I would say my two things are that I can't always outbox anyone, and because I know that I have to outwork them. So I'm always, my cardio is always.
High volume.
Yeah, I just work my ass off to get my car. Yeah, like before this last fight, I was running like 10 miles a day.
Oh,
Just
wow.
yeah, I go crazy. My coach actually is like, "You're overtraining, calm down." But I'm like, no, I gotta be in shape. So I'd say that, and I would say I just naturally have a lot of power. So
Okay.
yeah,
Do you believe, what weight class do you fight at?
I have fought at a few different weight classes. I actually started at 141, then I went down to 132, and now I'm actually competing at 119. So
wow.
yeah, so which was 119 is difficult. I'm 5'8", so 119 is not
Yeah,
easy to
you're
make.
5'8".
Yeah, but I actually feel really good at this weight. So.
Is cutting weight an issue anymore?
This was the first time that cutting weight was really difficult because, like I said, I didn't think I was even part of the tournament. I hadn't been to the gym in 6 weeks. I was eating too much, and when I found out about the fight, the last 6 days before the fight, I had to lose 10 pounds, which for my size is a pretty decent weight cut.
Yeah.
But and with amateur boxing, the weigh-ins are a day of,
Day
so
of.
you don't have all that much time to refuel. So I weighed in at 4, and then I ended up being the second fight. The fight started at 6, so I only had like
jeez, 2 hours.
so I had cut a lot of weight for it, and then I was worried about what my energy levels would be, but.
Didn't
It's only a few
phase
minutes.
you once you
Well,
got
yeah, exactly. And I had to mentally, keep reminding myself it's only a few minutes. You can pull this out. Like you worked way too hard to give up for 10 minutes. So.
Oh, what was it like the first time you're in the ring, you're competing, like all the lights are on you, it's just you and the other person, and then you get hit in the face.
Yeah, the first time I was a complete mental case. I actually feel so sorry for my coach because I think I had him rewrap my hands like maybe 4 times because I was like, no, it's too tight. I can't do it. Eventually he had to just be like, Jess, sit down. I'll let you know when we're fighting because I was just freaking out so bad. It's very overwhelming, but then and when I first started fighting and it's something I'm working on, I would always come out slow the first round. It would like take me getting hit a couple times to realize like, okay, you're fine, like you can handle this. So yeah, I mean it's definitely it's a rush. It's a huge adrenaline rush, but
You get nervous right before you get in there?
I do. I get very nervous, but I think I'm learning to use my nerves to help me.
Okay.
So when I first started, there was one fight. I'm not gonna lie, this is very embarrassing, but it was I was telling you about a girl that had like over 30 fights, and it was my 3rd fight, and I actually cried before the fight. I was like, what am I doing? And then as soon as I got in there, it's fine. So,
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Now, when you first start, when you're in the ring, when you're competing, does it feel like not you blacking out, but you kind of like things are going real fast? Has it slowed down for you quite a bit?
yeah, and that's one of the things I'm working on. When I can control, like, being able to just stay in the moment and slow down and like take things as they're going, I fight so much better than when it is like sped up, like you just said, where I'm like boxing is such a mental sport. It's like all about just controlling your head and controlling your thought process. And that's one of my biggest obstacles is just keeping my head right. So, but it's so mental, it really is.
Yeah. Now, how do you prepare mentally for it? Is there anything you do specific within your training?
I wouldn't say. I mean, the best mental preparation for me is just I like to spar a lot. I want coach to get me sparring as much as possible. I'm like, I don't care if it's 5 times a week, I want to spar. He doesn't let me spar 5 times a week, but as much as possible because it's the most realistic way to get ready. So that helps me. When I feel like I haven't sparred enough, that's when I feel like I'm more nervous and everything. And my coach talks me down a lot. Everyone on my team kind of knows how I get and knows how to keep me grounded. So sometimes before a fight, I need to be by myself, listening to music. Sometimes I want to be distracted and be talking to someone. But I always have my team there and my coaches.
So when you're not at the gym, you're not competing or training, or what do you do for yourself for fun? What are some things you enjoy?
To be honest, right now boxing is pretty much my life because I do my cardio in the morning, I box at night, and then there's work, and then my son, and if any of my free time, honestly, is just spent doing stuff with my son because, you know, boxing is my thing, that's where I get my release, and then the rest of it's about, you know, spending time with my kid. So for now, and I think after this tournament, I'll probably take a month or two off and just relax and, you know, do some other stuff. I say that now, but I'll probably take a week off and miss it. I guess we'll find out.
Now, did you sell a lot of tickets? Like, with a lot of fans and family coming?
I know I have a lot of people coming, but I haven't even really started selling tickets yet. I've kind of just been like riding this high, and like it's been a crazy experience. But I will start selling tickets, and I know a lot of my friends and family will come. So
awesome.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you won that last fight? You semis, and you're like, I'm going to MSJ.
Oh my god! I literally looked at my coach and like, he was. We have a very strong bond, my coach and I. Like, I think I was tearing up a little bit. I think he was getting a little emotional. It's like really a surreal feeling, and it kept hitting me like over and over again. I'd like my best friend Lauren, I kept talking like, oh my god, we're fighting at Madison Square Garden, and then like an hour later, I'd be like, oh my god, Lauren, do you understand? I'm fighting it, you know? And it just like kept hitting me because it's so surreal. A year ago, this was such a pipe dream. Like, you know, we had talked about fighting in this tournament, and it was kind of just like, you know, like you're a novice girl fighting open fighters, get the experience. It wasn't like, hey, there's a good chance you can go to the Garden, and now it's happening. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier you started with jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
That's how you got into this. Any thought in your mind about transferring and making the transition to MMA?
I used to think about it. Right now I'm super into boxing, so it's not something that I see happening in the near future. Maybe eventually. I never know what's going to happen, but I could eventually see myself going back to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I do love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I don't know about MMA.
I know with Sarah Thomas, one of the biggest issues she said was trying to find fights for herself.
Okay.
Competing in MMA at 135, it's tough to find other women to fight.
I would imagine, yeah.
Do you find that at all in the boxing world, or there seem to be an abundant amount of women competing?
No, actually, one of the reasons I started taking fights with people that were so much more advanced than me was because it was getting hard to find fights with people at the same experience level, and I just wanted to fight. So it got, you know, like I got one fight off the bat with someone that had the same experience level, and that was literally the only fight I've ever had with. Well, no, then I had one recently, but that was the only fight that I had with someone with the same experience, and everyone else on my team was fighting in shows, and I was like, and my coach would be like, listen, there's a girl that you can fight, but, you know, she's got 6 years of experience, this many fights, and we're like, let's just do it, you know? So that's why I started taking those fights, because there's actually not a ton of female fighters, or it's not actually overly easy to find a fight, so. I've been lucky. I have, in the last 10 months, I've had, I think, 8 fights now, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it hasn't been.
Yeah, that's a lot for it, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you see, like, since you're boxing, like, MMA seems to be a lot of people fight maybe 2-3 times a year if they're lucky. I guess some people will compete a little bit more, but majority is like 3 fights. Boxing, you just said you took 8 fights in 10 months.
Yeah.
Was there a big difference, reason for that?
You know, I actually don't know the reason. It's, for me, not everyone fights that much. We have other fighters at our gym that will, you know, like you said, maybe fight 3 or 4 times a year, and then we have people like me that are like, put me in every show. If you can get me a fight, I want to fight. It's just such an adrenaline rush. It's like, coach could call me right now and say, hey, I got to fight for you in 2 days, and I would take it because I love it. I love fighting. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe someday I'll slow down, but.
And do you have a timetable? You said you're a novice boxer. A timetable to turn professional?
I don't know if turning professional is necessarily something that's a goal of mine yet.
Okay.
Because of a few reasons. Female boxing, they're turning professional, there's really no money in it. So, you know, you're taking away the headgear, you're taking away smaller gloves, and you're not really making any money. And, you know, I'm 28 years old, like I said, I have a son. So there is that kind of like fear, I guess, a little bit of, is this something that I really want to do professionally? I need to take care of myself as well. I don't know, that might change someday, but I don't think the pros really outweigh the cons of it right now. Okay. So, but we'll see.
Something down. You're still new to boxing.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm still very new to this.
Only
so
a little over a year.
We can do this again in 6 months, and I might say, "Oh my God, you know what? I changed my mind." So.
Yeah. Right.
But as of right this second, it's not something that I'm thinking too much about.
Totally understandable. Fighting as a female, do you believe that it's important to get in there as often and kind of get, I guess, your message out there to, you're talking about Heather Hardy and Sarah Thomas and fighting that inspired you. You believe it can help inspire other young women that are looking to get into it?
Yeah,
On the
absolutely.
border?
Absolutely. And I love, I talk to Coach about this all the time. I love when females come to the gym and even express interest in it. And a lot of them, you know, we have this woman Janine now, Sabrina, and they'll, like I said, Coach's daughter Daniela, and they'll always ask me to spar with them or teach them stuff or work with them, and I absolutely love that. Even if they don't actually ever get in the ring and fight, I just think it's a really powerful thing for women to be able to, even just the self-defense aspect and the confidence aspect of it, and you know, I just think it's awesome. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Now, what's one thing about you that nobody knows, but you would like to share with everyone that's going to be watching you at MSG?
One thing about me that nobody knows, man, that's a lot of pressure. There's probably a lot of weird things that I'm not willing to know. One thing about me that nobody knows. I gotta think about this. I have a weird, I have a weird phobia of sponges.
Sponges?
Actually, that's not something nobody knows. All my friends know this.
Sponges, so that you get to the dishes and like, there's a sponge. Gotta go.
Yeah, they're actually, I read the statistic the other day that there's more germs in your sponge than on your toilet bowl.
So you don't like germs at all?
And yeah, I'm not, yeah.
So is it the sponge or the germs that you're afraid of?
It's definitely the germs, but the sponge is just like,
He's the host.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And this has been like a lifelong thing, so.
Okay.
I'll get punched in the face, but don't come near me with a sponge.
Now, speaking of germs and all that, like, your equipment's gonna be full of germs.
I know.
Are you like
I
cleaning
change
it all?
my equipment pretty often,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I clean everything, and yeah, so.
There's some people, high school football coach and wrestling.
Oh,
Kids
yeah.
aren't either showering or washing their stuff, and you have to yell at them.
To be
do
honest,
so.
I was more of a germaphobe in jiu-jitsu because you could always tell when people weren't really watching their gis, and you're rolling around with them very closely,
it
and it's,
stinks.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
There's the ringworm and everything else.
Oh my god, yeah. I got ringworm quite a few times, and it really grossed me out, so.
And then you see that as like an issue, like in gyms sometimes, because not everyone has the knowledge, I guess you could say, of like fighting like fungus, like, which is ringworm.
Right.
Is that like an issue? You're saying you get a. Does it happen often in the gyms?
To be honest, knock on wood, since boxing, I've never had anything like that. And Coach is very adamant about cleaning our gym. Our boxing gym is like, he's taken me all over to spar in different boxing gyms, and some of them are a little skeevy. Our boxing gym is like
sure.
pristine.
Yeah.
He takes very good care of it.
Yeah.
So I have not had, I have not had anything like that from boxing. In jiu-jitsu, I did get ringworm quite a few times, but I think it's more normal in jiu-jitsu because, like we just discussed, you're literally like on each other. Yeah. So.
And like I know, like coaching wrestling, I'm always making sure the kids mop their mat before
Yes.
and after,
Yes.
whether it's the kids or other coaches.
Yes.
Doing it. And then since wrestling since fourth grade, I've luckily knocked on wood, never gotten.
You've
it.
never gotten ringworm. Oh my god, you're lucky.
But do you feel like that's something? You go to some of these gyms that you said are like a little skeezy looking.
Yeah.
Do you think there should be code from, I guess, regulations and stuff to what should be done in the gym to contain hygiene?
Personally, I absolutely think that. But some of these boxing gyms that are in the city and in I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like in like poor communities and everything like that.
Yeah,
Because
no,
a lot
I
of
get it.
boxing gyms are like that. Yeah, you can definitely tell that they maybe need to be cleaned a little bit more. So, luckily, I'm only there for a few rounds and then I get out.
Get the hell out of there.
Yeah,
Awesome. So tell what's your week like leading up to the fight? This MSG week. So what's your routine going into it?
So the week leading up to the fight, it's crazy because I can't get anything else. I can't get it out of my head. I visualize so much the week, before the fight, and even now I'm starting to. Every night I'll be laying in my bed just like visualizing the entire thing, like from the point of like walking into the ring to the first bell ringing and I think about it so much. So there's that. I definitely have to. My diet's pretty clean, but the week of course, it's completely cleaning up your diet, making sure you're hydrated. If you are cutting weight, overhydrating so that you can cut the water right before that. The week before though it's mostly mental preparation because physically you're not learning anything new the week of your fight. The physical training's pretty much, already there. Your cardio's already there. It's just getting your head right the week of the fight. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when you've got my boxing matches coming up, do you ever train jiu-jitsu at all? Kind of like to switch up and get a monotonous kind of thing?
Yeah, I haven't, honestly. Since I started boxing, I actually haven't gone to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at all. But I do like, in terms of switching up my training, I do other cardio training, and I'll do strength and conditioning, stuff like that. On like tomorrow, we're going to run the Seven Sisters. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's an awful run, very hilly, and it sucks, but it's great cardio. So yeah, I'll do different training like that, but I wouldn't cross-train with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for boxing, mostly because I would be a little bit nervous about a silly injury or something like that. Yeah, exactly, pulling something, but yeah, so.
Okay. And what are the colors you're gonna? Because I understand you can. Well, ring masters, do they make you wear a certain color?
So for ring masters, yeah, they'll give you.
You don't get to wear whatever you want.
No, you don't get to wear whatever you want. But when you get to wear whatever you want, I'm so OCD, and I wear the same exact, down to everything, every single time. So I wish I could because of my OCD. But no, they give you your uniform for ring masters. So same thing with matches.
What's a tip for someone that's getting into boxing right now, or a young woman that you would give them? Some advice.
Well, I think that my advice would be to just that you have to stick it out from the beginning. It gets very frustrating. It's not like, for most people at least, it's not something that just right away clicks. I remember the first time I went sparring, my coach and his son Alex, who I was talking about earlier, their nickname they gave me was Jess Fetal Position Capurso, because I would stand against the ropes in fetal position, literally with my leg in the air, and just like sit there and eat punches. And I would leave there and be like, I'm quitting, I'm never coming back to this gym again, I hate boxing. And then sure enough, the next night, I'd be back in the boxing gym. And so it's not something that just comes naturally. And even I hear it all the time at the gym from the woman, like, oh, I would never be able to do this, I could never do that. And I remember being in that same exact position where I'd be sparring girls and I'd be like, I could never be as good as them. And now I get in there with them and, we're evenly matched, or we're going, so it's just sticking through it. That takes a long time to learn. It's not, especially for women, it's not necessarily natural to just know how to box,
Yeah.
I think men have more of a natural inclination. Yeah, it's just like more natural and innate to like want to fight. Like for females, most females don't have that, like, and I even find like people say it to me all the time, like, you need to get that edge, you need to want to get in there and be angry. Like, I'm not an angry person, I'm like, so yeah.
What was your parents' reaction like being around our age? Like, I know my parents first really didn't think women should be wrestling or fighting or
yeah.
Did they have that reaction? Like, what are you thinking?
My parents, I've always been like a little bit crazy, so growing up I was always the kid that they had to be like, oh my god, why is she doing this? So I don't think they were surprised by it at all, but they're very supportive of it actually. They come to my fights, and I think it's hard for my mother and father to watch sometimes, and I think that they probably wish that I did something different, maybe like baton twirling or ballet, but they tolerate it and they're supportive of it. So I could imagine as a parent though, thinking about my son getting in the ring and fighting, it would of course make me nervous, but.
And then with work, you said you're in sales.
Yeah.
When you're doing sales and you show up with a black eye or something, is that something they understand?
It's so funny because, like I said, when I first started sparring, I really sucked. And I would get black eyes all the time. And even when I would drop my son off at school, like, people would be like, is everything okay at home? And like, I have gotten the craziest questions from it. But once you tell people that, no, it's just from boxing, everyone actually thinks it's the coolest thing, and then it's starting a conversation with you. So, but it is funny walking around sometimes with, black eyes, and luckily it's been a while. That one. Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Anything else you want to share with us? Any something we wouldn't know, or anything like that you would want to share?
Something that you wouldn't know. I can't give away all my secrets yet, but I would definitely just say that if anyone's interested in boxing, come check out Vargas Boxing right in Patchogue. It's an awesome program. Coach did really well with it, and it's very open to every level. Even if you've no background, come check it out. You should come check it out, actually.
Yeah, definitely. I might have to.
You might have
check
to,
out the gym.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Anyone you want to recognize that's for their sport, or just anyone you want to recognize?
Absolutely, my coach. I mean, I can't even, not even just in terms of what he's done for me in the ring, but outside of the ring, just all the support he's given me. His whole family as well, my whole team. I can't express enough how much they support me and support everything that I've done this far boxing. And I absolutely would not even be fighting if it wasn't for them. So I do appreciate it all. I tell my coach that all the time, but So. And everyone, of course, my parents, my best friend, everyone, my son's father, everyone that helps and even makes this possible for me to do, because I wouldn't be doing it without all of them. So.
Any sponsors? Do you have any sponsors?
No sponsors, no, not yet. But I want my dream sponsor is, because it's actually funny. I have an addiction to Pedialyte. Like, even if I'm not fighting, I can't stop drinking Pedialyte. I drink like 2 or 3 of these a day. This is not a joke.
That's hilarious.
So one day I really want to be sponsored by Pedialyte.
Because
I spend a lot of money on Pedialyte. They're expensive. It's like $8 for a bottle of those things that I can't stop drinking.
That's funny because they're like a baby product, and then anyone who cuts weight, wrestlers, boxers,
Yes.
MMA fighters, they all
They
use
will
them.
love it, yeah.
Yeah, you should write them a letter.
I should write them a letter.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to write them a letter. That's my dream sponsor. So.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate taking the time.
Yes, thank you so much.
Any last shout outs, anything else? Any last words for your opponent?
Words for my opponent. It's going to be a
You
good
seem like a
fight. Don't
shit
underestimate me. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thank you so much.